Hey! Welcome back, everybody. After the week I've had, I am not entirely sure what reality is.
What?
I think we're the Bearded Brothers, and I think we're recording another episode of yet another sports podcast.
My name's Loki.
What's the name?
Oh.
But there have been massive developments since our last podcast. Primarily, the NHL draft has happened, and both NBA and NHL free agency have opened to people flying frickin' everywhere. Like, I can't keep track of it all. People are just... And if that sounded like a Bukkake film, I'm sorry. And by the way, you can't be mad at that, because if you know what it is, you're just as sick-minded as I am. If you don't know what that is, don't go looking it up.
Man, there's been news that I've been, just been cracking, just apparently 30 minutes ago, man.
Yeah, so, early on, Damian...
Sorry.
You're fine. I was going to say, Damian Lillard is the big news right now in the NBA. Damian Lillard. Dame has requested a trade away from Portland. There were considered 3 contenders. One of them was the Heat, but Lillard has, or the Trailblazers want at least a star caliber player in return for Lillard, and the Heat don't really have one they'd be willing to give up to get Dame, so it looks like they're going elsewhere. I don't know. I've heard there was somebody suggested a trade, and there'd probably have to be some pieces and shit around it to make it work right. And I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily love it. And that would be trading KAT for Damian Lillard. If the Timberwolves were to trade Towns for Lillard. And I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But I get it, because we have Gobert. We also re-signed center, Nazir Muhammad? So now we have a big 3-center style rotation. What are we going to do with that? You know, we're paying a lot of money to Muhammad. Not a lot, but a decent chunk. And we do definitely need a point guard. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Which probably means it's something that could happen.
I guess they're looking for a star-level return package for him.
That's what I told you. I just said that.
I'm sorry, I'm halfway reading and halfway listening, so I caught half of what you said and half of it I'm reading. And unfortunately, I must have missed that part.
Yeah, I said they're looking for a star-level return, which is why Miami's out of the running.
Yeah, I just saw that part, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so other big news. Yeah. D'Angelo Russell is back to the Lakers. 2 years, $37 million. Ball. Unfortunately, we will not have a dick and 2 balls in Toronto, because the one ball brother has agreed to stay with the Hornets on a max rookie extension. The Rockets have agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with Dylan Brooks. The Lakers are keeping Austin Reeves around for 4 years, $56 million. There's Jesus Christ. Trying to keep track of all of this right now is going to give me a migraine.
Did he get the Westbrook one in there yet?
I have not seen the Westbrook one yet.
I guess Russell Westbrook agreed on a new 2-year, $7.8 million deal to stay with the Clippers.
Okay. I just saw that now. Then there's, let's see here.
There's a lot.
Oh yeah, there is so many right now. Brook Lopez back to the Bucks. Sixers have signed Pat Bev to a 1-year deal. A lot of stuff about Damian Lillard.
A lot of stuff about Damian Lillard.
Desmond Bane is to the Grizzlies. The Heat have agreed to trade Oladipo back to the Thunder.
Okay. I guess.
Yeah. Let me see here. The Dallas Mavericks agreed to a new deal with Kyrie. Fred Van Vliet is now a Houston Rocket. He has a 3-year, $130 million deal. Kevin Love, the former Timberwolf, is now a member of the Miami Heat, along with Josh Richardson. Yeah. Chris Middleton is staying with the Bucks. Yeah, Kyrie Irving, it's a 3-year, $126 million deal to stay in Dallas.
Gotcha.
The only real move the Timberwolves have made is we got Troy Brown Jr.
Of course.
Yeah. So, it's also Kyle Kuzma to the Wizards. Draymond Green is staying in Golden State. He got a 4-year, $100 million deal.
Gotcha.
And then... So, shifting gears a little. Holy crap. NHL news, because there has been a lot. So let's start...
Been a lot.
Oh my god, there's so much. Let's start with the draft, because Connor Bedard did go first overall.
What a surprise.
That was a big surprise. Yay. Like, nobody saw that coming.
Nobody saw that coming.
Then, the draft kind of went off the rails. A little bit, anyway. Because the Ducks did not take who everybody thought they should have taken. Let me actually look at the first round so that I can appropriately talk about this without sounding like a moron. Because I got to remember the guy's name. They took Leo Carlson, a center from Sweden, I believe. Everybody and their cousins said they should have taken Adam Fantilli. They did not. Adam Fantilli went third to Columbus. Will Smith went fourth to San Jose. And then the Canadians went and grabbed David Reinbacher. And the big news around that is apparently they got Carey Price up there to announce the pick, and he forgot Reinbacher's name.
That's not good.
No, poor Carey Price.
Yeah.
Then the Coyotes took Dmitry Simishev. And then Matvei Michkov went 7th. That was the interesting one because he was the consensus third best player or fourth best player in the draft. But he had made it known he has 2 or 3 years left on his deal in the KHL. And he was not going to buy himself out for anybody but apparently one team. And that was the team that picked right after Philadelphia took Matvei Michkov at 7. And that would be the Capitals. Because Michkov, Russian, wanted to come over and play with Alexander Ovechkin, Russian. And everybody kind of saw that.
That does make sense. Yeah.
All sorts of stuff happened in this draft. There weren't any trades in the first round. Minnesota took Charlie Stramel. He, at one point, was a top 5 pick and then had a garbage year at Wisconsin where he failed to put up any points and failed to really produce anything and slipped all the way down to Minnesota at 21. Now, I will say he was a 6'3", 220 as an 18-year-old. Dude's going to be a beast. If he figures out how to use that size and all of that and can figure it all out at Wisconsin and figure out how to be a good player, I think we may have gotten a steal. But that's going to be the thing is, can he put it all together and figure it out? And, of course, Philadelphia took my favorite player name in the entire draft. Oliver Bonk.
Bonk.
Bonk. Apparently his dad also played football. Or not football, hockey.
Do they enjoy bonking people?
Apparently. I believe his name is Radek. Radek Bonk.
That's a cooler name than Oliver Bonk, I'm not gonna lie.
Radek is a much cooler name than
Radek
Oliver.
is way better than
And
Oliver.
then, at 26, we had another great name. You ready for this one? Quentin
Hold on.
Musty.
Oh, I'm so sorry. The minute you walk into the room, man, can you imagine the jokes? Especially because you play sports. The minute someone walks into your house, they can make jokes about how it smells musty in the room. Like, come on. The jokes are just right there. That's almost not fair, man.
The Coyotes at 12th took a guy named Daniel Butt.
Yeah, I mean, butts are classic.
Butts are classic. And then there's the guy with 3 names, Axel Sandine Pelika.
Yeah, that happens on occasion.
Axel. His name is Axel. Come on.
I just have to wonder if one of his parents was slightly weebish. Just a little bit. They have to be, right? One of the parents has to be a slight weeb. That is the only way that ever happens.
Or they're fans of Guns N' Roses.
Fair. Fair.
They're fans of what's the Eddie Murphy movies? Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh.
Axel Foley.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think about that one.
I did. Yep.
So much news. Sorry, I was just scrolling through the news, just going, "Oh my god!"
Oh god, there's one that I have no idea how to say. I'm going to attempt this one. At 26th pick of the second round was Lenny Hamenaho. Hameenaho.
Hamano? I don't know.
I don't know, man. But it was like in the first round of the. I will say that this year's NHL draft was more interesting to watch than previous NHL drafts. I was a lot happier with this year's draft. They had ESPN helped host it, and they did a much better job of explaining, like, okay, these are who we think the top players are. This is what this person's good at. Here's a little known fact about them, and then getting an interview with them afterwards. The ones that were the most interesting were the Swedish players who spoke almost no English. There were a couple of those. Then there were a couple of them who spoke great English and worked the camera like magic, and I was like, ooh, wow, he's ready. He's ready for prime time.
That's the guy who was prepared to be really good. He's like, oh, I'm going international, baby. I'm going international.
I'm going to be ready to talk about this crap. All right. So, in the meantime now, let's talk hockey free agency a little bit, because some people have moved all over the place. First off, Alexander Kerfoot, no longer a Maple Leaf. 2-year, $7 million deal in Arizona. John Klingberg, no longer a member of the Wild. He is now on a 1-year, $4.15 million deal in Toronto. Let's see here. JT Compher is no longer a member of the Avalanche. Good, fuck him. 5-year, $25.5 million deal with the Red Wings.
Okay.
Now, Colorado did extend Bowen Byram, 2 years, 7.7. The Islanders got a 7-year, $21 million deal with Pierre Engvall, a 7-year, $24.5 million deal with Scott Mayfield, a 4-year, $11 million deal with Semyon Varlamov, and an 8-year, $66 million extension for Ilya Sorokin.
Okay.
Yeah. They were pretty quiet most of the days, and then all of a sudden, bloom, 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 bloom.
Fair enough.
Alex Galchenyuk is going back to the desert in Arizona. The Penguins are bringing back Tristan Jarry. They have him for $26.875 million on a 5-year deal. The Devil's Pride, Eric Shalgren out of Toronto. 1 year, $775,000. Let's see here. The Jets inked forward Vladislav Nemestikov to 2 years, $4 million. Let's see here. Other interesting stuff. Yes, Nick Bonino and Jonathan Quick are both New York Rangers now.
Nice.
The Hurricanes grabbed Michael Bunting, 3 years, $13.5 million.
Fair enough.
Sam Steele, who was a Wild last year, is getting an $850,000 deal from Dallas. And Matt Duchene, who got bought out. I should point that out. The Predators bought out Matt Duchene's deal. And he's now inked a 1 year, $3 million deal with the Stars. Yep, they bought out Matt Duchene. I should also point out that Blake Wheeler was bought out by the Jets. And he went somewhere too. We'll get there.
Fair enough.
Max Pacioretty, who keeps having Achilles issues. He signed a 1 year, $2 million deal with the Capitals. Let's see here. Justin Hall is out of Toronto, 3 years, $10.2 million to the Red Wings. Alex Lyon is out of Florida, and he is a 2 year, $1.8 million deal with the Red Wings. Milan Lucic is coming back to Boston. 1 year, $1 million. Look, for those of you who don't understand Milan Lucic, back in the day when Boston was winning cups, Milan Lucic was a certified fist dispensary, and all he wanted to do was beat the shit out of people. He's older now, so you're not going to get that out of him, but still, it's nice to see Milan Lucic. It's nice to see him home.
Yeah.
The Predators have grabbed Gustav Nyquist, 2 years, $6.37 million. Morgan Geekie is now with the Boston Bruins as well, 2 years, $4 million. Radko Gudas and his fantastic beard is relocating from South Florida to South California. 3 years, $12 million in Anaheim.
Gotcha.
Eunice Corpusalo, the goalie, has agreed to a 5 year, $20 million deal with the Ottawa Senators. Freddie Anderson is going to stay in Carolina. The LA Kings grab Cam Talbot for 1 year, $1 million. The Rangers signed Blake Wheeler with a 1 year, $800,000 contract after he got bought out.
Gotcha.
Let's see here. The Predators bring in Ryan O'Reilly, 4 years, $18 million. I think they're going to regret that. You just bought out Duchene, who's a little younger, and now you're going to spend that much on O'Reilly? Let's see here. The Maple Leafs have grabbed up Ryan Reeves for 3 years, $4.05 million. The Predators grab Luke Shen, 3 year, $8.25 million. Antti Ranta is back with the Hurricanes for 1 year, $1.5. And finally, OEL, after being bought out by the Canucks, has signed with the Florida Panthers, 1 year, $2.25. Whew! And that's not all of them. That's just the big names.
That's just that's a lot.
And that's in one day. I think they said they had something in 3 hours. They had something like 50 signings. It's It was ridiculous today, guys, just so that you guys and girls out there understand what we're talking about.
Probably most of it's going to have happened today. Like, I don't think...
Yeah, I don't... like we said, Minnesota's been
It's going
fairly...
to slow down.
Minnesota's been fairly quiet. There's still some big names out there. I will say
but...
Dumba's name is still out there because he's a UFA right now. There's a couple of other UFAs that are still big name UFAs that are out there, but most of the people who are UFAs are off the market now. They're done. They're gone.
Yep.
So it's going to slow way down from here, and you might begin to see trades beginning to happen. We did see a lot of trades at the draft, just not in the first round. Second, third, fourth round, we began to see some stuff happening. A whole bunch of stuff moved around.
Bunch of stuff.
Corey Perry moved around. Both Detroit and Chicago have been super active trying to rebuild themselves. Chicago, especially considering that they got Connor Bedard, they are definitely looking to rebound quickly at this point. I think the funniest part...
do they deserve it? I mean, that's a question that you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, there's that. But I will say that their new GM is hilarious, because they were doing one of those radio shows or shows was doing the crowd out on the streets getting crowd reactions to the NHL draft down in Nashville. And they stopped him on the street without knowing who he was and asked him about the draft, and he was Kyle from Chicago. Good job. You know what? Kyle Davidson, while I abhor what happened with ownership and with everything else that happened with your organization, you've cleaned most of that out. You've cleaned house quite a bit. I hope you bring some respect back to the Blackhawks. I hate the Blackhawks. Fuck you. But that's because we're in the same division. So there's no like malice.
I mean, it looks like they're basically pulling what the Lions have done over the last 20 years, where they finally got a pretty good GM now. They got a coach that everyone loves. Like,
I don't know because
he's just a funny
is currently, but also. The
Dan
Red Wings
Campbell?
are starting.
The Lions.
No.
About,
Chicago.
I said the Lions. Yeah, I know, but I was talking about how like they're doing the same thing where they're they don't necessarily have the coach part, but I mean isn't just a likable personality.
Yeah.
Right. They don't necessarily have to be the coach, but
yeah. And he's making a lot of trades and trying to do a lot of things to get Chicago back into contention. So I can't hate on that. Anyway, point is that it's been wacky and it's going to continue to be wacky, I think.
Yep.
All right. That being said and done now.
I do not apologize.
I know you don't. We don't care.
Okay. Fair enough.
Let us talk about westward expansion. I don't know if that's the best way to go into that. West Coast bias?
I mean, listen, what my brain went to Manifest Destiny, so like,
All right, let's talk West Coast bias.
I think I went pretty dark in my way.
Well, let's talk West Coast bias.
Trail of Tears. Woo!
Here we're trying. All right.
No, we're not.
Today, we're really not. Today we're going to talk about both the NFC and AFC West. And give our ceilings and floors and our predictions for how this is going to play out. Spoilers, one team on this list is my very first 0-win floor. And if you know
almost feel like it's impossible, though. I don't know, though.
The Lions did it.
Yeah, the Lions did it, but they were shit. I don't think the Cardinals are that shit. I mean, the odds dictate they just mathematically it shouldn't likely happen, but can it happen? I mean, technically.
If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Arizona. And you know what? We're saying that now, and we were saying shit like that about fucking Seattle last year.
Well, there were some people out there that were saying they were going to be okay, but yeah, you and I were definitely like, I remember when we talked about it, when we saw it, we were like, what are they doing? This makes no sense.
We didn't have the show yet, but yeah, at the beginning of the season, we were like, are they on drugs?
Drugs?
And then it turned out, no, they knew what they were doing, and all the rest of us were just stupid.
I mean, at the beginning when we first saw it happen, I was legitimately contemplating, like, are they actually going Drew Lock here? Because who the fuck is Geno Smith? Like,
I know who Geno Smith was because I remembered watching him play at West Virginia.
Yeah. I don't mean as in I didn't know who
you.
he was, but just I didn't mean as in that I didn't know who he was. It was just more like he hadn't played in a really while, and he hadn't been.
He's been in the league. He's just
that's what I mean. He's been there, but he hasn't been playing much. So it was
anyway. So let's start with the NFC West today. All right, starting with the San Francisco 49ers.
The 49ers.
49ers. Last year, 13th ranked passing offense.
I think that's gotten better.
7th ranked rushing offense.
I think that's gotten better.
21st ranked passing defense.
I actually think that's gotten a little better.
2nd ranked rushing defense.
I think somehow they've managed to get better.
My takes on it. Crowded QB room. How does that
That'd be close.
How does that shake out?
Well, it's not that crowded. I mean, in some ways it is, depending on how you look at it. But I see what you're saying.
Clelin Ferrell. They signed him. Low risk, high reward. They signed him for a good low amount, and if he finds any sort of what he should be, if he finds that talent that he supposedly had, this is going to be nasty. They did lose their D coordinator, as he is now a head coach in Houston. They did lose some defensive pieces, primarily to Houston, because they followed the defensive coordinator over there. Won't even flinch. Ceiling 12, floor 10. I don't see a way that they would lose more than double-digit games.
I mean, I would normally be like, yeah, but if they lose their QBs, well, bitch, they proved that
they did
doesn't
that last
matter.
year.
I was gonna say that proved me wrong. You're saying crowded QB room, but in their case, like, they can get away with it, so why not? Like,
yeah, I know. Fuck.
They've already been, I mean, to be fair, at the same time, the 49ers are spending a lot on QBs, but at the same time, like, all of them have proven
they're really
to have
not
injury.
Because
they're really not. No, because they're rookies.
Two of them are still on rookie contracts, and the other one they paid a pittance for because nobody wants him anymore.
But what I was gonna say is, what I mean is, like, even if in that context, like, if you think about it, like, in their case, it does make sense to have as many QBs as they do, because none of them have proven to be reliable to stay healthy for a full season, let alone 6 games.
But
I don't think he's ever played a full season.
Well, the reason he hasn't played a full season is because he keeps getting pulled.
Well, even the first year when he was with the Jets, he got the flu or whatever it was, mono or whatever it was. Yeah, mono.
The kisser's disease.
Yeah.
He needs to stay away from Zach Wilson's MILFs.
No, that's why.
What
is? To be fair, he got there first.
What is it? What is it with the Jets and grabbing people that are anyway?
It's New York. What do you think?
My prognosis for them is division champs and another deep playoff run. What do you have for a ceiling and a floor on them?
Ceiling, I have them probably sitting at I would probably say about a 13. I have a pretty good faith in even in the fact that if they have QBs going out, that they'll stay good. And frankly, I also have like a floor of like 10. Like, their team is so stacked that even if you somehow get them to their third string QB, it's Trey Lance. Like, sure, he might not be super proven, but he can move. You know he can do something with the
And Kyle
football.
Shanahan can continuously just change his offense on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't see how they don't continue just making playoffs every damn year. Like,
Yes, I agree perfectly. Seahawks, 10th in passing offense, 18th in rushing offense, 14th in pass defense, 30th in rush defense.
that is where they were weak, but they did address some of that.
So, my notes, real quick. Made moves to improve the defense that should pay off. Made a top 10 passing attack better. If Gino reprises last season, this division is up for a dogfight at the top. Literally, they drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba to add to a very good wide receiver room to give Gino even more targets. They've added some defensive people. They brought back Bobby Wagner. They've added another guy up front on the defensive line. They've added some beef there to try to stop the run a little bit. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. They improved their rush defense. They improved their pass defense by allowing themselves to rush a little bit more. And if Gino's even remotely what he was last season, this team is going to go places. What do you have for a ceiling and a floor, do you think? Do you want to have anything to add? Let's ask that. Do you have anything to add to what I said?
Well, I don't disagree with you. I do agree with everything you've said. They've definitely have drafted and have even signed players in a very clear manner where they have gone, no, Gino is our guy for the next like 2 to 3 years. They even drafted somebody who's, who could be used as a good backup for now, or even potentially take over starting duties potentially in the future, right? Like, I think a lot of people are very high on the Seahawks right now, and I still have questions on Gino because while he looked good, I have to question, did he pull a Case Keenum? Did he have just one real good season as a vet?
Here's the thing.
Now, granted that he didn't have the best talent around him. They weren't bad, but not the best. So you can argue that he played above, what people were expecting of him. And you could also even argue that, hey, look how good he played during when nobody expected anything of him. But now that people are expecting something of him, is that going to make things worse, right?
I will also state that the difference between him and Case Keenum is Case Keenum left Minnesota after having a good season.
He did.
And went somewhere else to fit into a system that didn't fit him, whereas it looks like they've designed the system to work around Gino, and he decided to stay in one spot, which I think was smart for Gino.
I agree with that. I just have questions on some of that, and so because of that, and because I still don't have faith in Gino into postseason, I just don't think. I haven't seen enough of him. I just don't have a lot of faith that he's going to be able to carry a team in postseason. So they'll have to build a very strong team around him, and I don't know if this is the team that can do it this year. So I'm going to put them at a ceiling of 10 wins because I think they could actually. They'll probably have a good chance of making playoffs, but I don't know if they'll make it past even the first round. But their floor, honestly, like, if Gino isn't really who we think might. Like, if this isn't really a resurgence of Gino and he just had a good year, we could see a wins of, like, only, like, 6 here. Like, we could be, like, middle of the road, kind of low, middle tier, right? Like, we could see a floor of 6.
So
I'm being a little rough, to be fair.
You are, and I have a little bit more faith, not just in Gino, but in the idea that Pete Carroll knows what the hell he's doing, and that this passing game, by adding JSN, is only going to get better. And now there's another guy, I forget what his name is, but they tried to fill the role that JSN is going to fill. They tried to fill with him, and it didn't work. Now they can just let him be him.
I forgot what his name
is. And then Penny the third, and then they've got another running back there, and the defense got better. So my ceiling for them is 12, which puts them in contention with the Niners, right around there. But my floor is 9. I still think their defense is strong enough and their running game is strong enough that if Geno struggles, they'll still be able to carry them to about 9 wins, which is just outside of what I think a playoff spot would be for them. But I still think they could pull that off.
I normally would agree, but their division, like, the only easy team they're getting wins on is the Cardinals, even, like, with a good rushing attack, because, like, the 49ers, like, you're not running on the 49ers.
No, you're not. And that's going to be their big one.
And even the Rams are going to be pretty tough, actually, in my opinion, but...
Rushing defense-wise, they were. In fact, let's talk about the Rams.
And that's what I was going to say. Let's get to that. And so that's why I was saying, like, if Geno struggles, that's going to make it hard.
These numbers you do have to take with a grain of salt because they did
a lot has changed.
They did lose Cooper Kupp very early. They did lose Matt Stafford pretty early.
Stafford,
yeah. So
they lost a lot of other people, too, to be fair.
They lost a lot of their team. So last year, they were 26th in passing offense. Mm-hmm. They were 27th in rushing offense. They were 22nd in passing defense and 13th in rushing defense. Look, they've had a lot of departures. They couldn't keep it cap-wise. They pushed all their chips to the middle of the table for one Super Bowl, and it worked.
And they acknowledged, like,
and I don't. At this
point, I'm sure they are
mad
fine with it.
I don't think they're mad about that. But now you have to retool and try to somehow retool it. Yes. Yep. So they had to cut a whole bunch of people. They had a lot of draft picks. Nothing in the first round, but they had, I think, 24 draft picks. If half of them hit, that's like getting an entire draft class for most teams to hit.
Yeah. And they got some good looking names there, to be fair.
They do. Now, my notes are that a lot of this team is going to really depend on the rookies stepping up and playing very well. It's also going to depend on Stafford and Kupp staying healthy. And a bit of a dose of luck. Because you did trade one of your best D-backs away to Miami. Mm-hmm. So, look, if everything falls into place like it could, they're going to threaten for a wild card.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty big if, based on the fact that Stafford's gotten hit a lot. He's starting to get injured more. Cooper Kupp is not that big of a guy. Who knows how he bounces back from injury like this? Look, I say if everything hits, they have a ceiling of 10. They could be a wild card team. Absolutely. No questions asked. They're probably not going to win the division because it's the 49ers in there. And I just don't think they have enough to beat the Niners out for that division. But if things don't fall into place and Stafford or Kupp gets hurt early, floor is 6.
So, I got an interesting take here. I think their ceiling is actually going to be closer to probably 10, 11 games. I was debating on 11. I'm between 10 and 11, though. I'm between 10 and 11
So you're right
games.
around where I am on it.
But I think their floor is actually going to be around 8. And the reason why is because a lot of people would be like, well, but what if Stafford gets injured? Look how bad they were. And you're right. If Stafford gets injured, but you have to remember, Stafford typically doesn't stay injured long term from his history. Like, yes, he's gotten older, but historically,
last year, yes, historically speaking. Like, historically but as you get older, and this is, I'm not trying to cut you off.
I know.
This is the medic side of me now that's actually been to medic school. As you get older, it becomes harder and harder to jump back from injury as quickly.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I'm just stating that we do have to take in some history into that account and look at that as a basis as well. So I'm just want to point that out, and at the same time, I feel like if we're gonna do that as well, we're looking at a Rams team that, like, a lot of people would be like, this isn't a very good team, right? Well, guess what? Stafford's really good at taking teams that are kind of really bad and making them look kind of okay. Historically speaking, he's also done that. And when he's had a good wide receiver, he's taken those teams into the playoffs through wild cards.
I'm not going to say that you're 100% wrong.
So, and that's what I'm going off of, is the fact that I think, historically speaking, I think that the odds that Matthew Stafford gets injured again long term and pushes them outside the wild card is incredibly unlikely, in my opinion. And Cooper Kupp is the one where I think he could probably get injured again because he seems like he just can't stay healthy. But I don't think, while Cooper Kupp helps a lot, and that's why they're going to lose the potential games that they could lose, I think that Stafford can still do enough with even just okay receivers to get the job done.
Well, Van Jefferson had his kind of a bit of a
Yeah.
coming out party last year.
And he's been
If
looking
he
pretty
continues looking like that, he'll be all right.
Yeah.
And then they drafted
Well, then they got
what's
that
his
tight
name?
end.
Puka, the wide receiver, Alex Pauka.
Yeah. I know you're talking about, but don't they have that? Did they get that one of those tight ends?
I don't remember.
I thought they got one of the. I thought they got like one of the. I thought they got like a tight end, but I can't remember.
I know the Raiders did.
Yeah,
the Raiders
but
got Mayer.
Yeah, but who got Kincaid?
I don't remember.
God, wasn't the Rams? Who was that?
They got him in like the third or fourth round.
It's gonna bother me. I don't think it was the Rams, but
it wasn't.
Who was it?
It was the Lions.
Was it the Lions? I could see it. It would make sense.
Whoever it was, I remember they took him like way later than people thought that he would go.
The Bills.
Was it the Bills? That's right. The Bills took Kincaid. Who was the one from Georgia?
Kincaid was the one that was drafted in the first round by the Bills.
Yeah. That was the one that they took specifically to spike the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was the one from
the
Georgia?
Cowboys then? There's Musgrave. Is that the other one? That's got to be the other one, right? Musgrave? Luke Musgrave. He went to the Packers.
But Musgrave was. But there was a guy.
Musgrave went to the Packers. I know that's not the one I'm thinking of, though.
Washington.
Was it Washington that took a player? Hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, this.
He got drafted by the Steelers. That was the one I was thinking of. He got drafted like the third or fourth round or something. But he had the talent to go higher. It's just they had the knee issue. Anyway. Yep. So anyway, the Rams did get a lot of people though.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're coming from. I just have less faith because of how much older Stafford is. And that I'm just factoring in medical diagnosis from my end. And like I said,
get it.
I think that they could eke out 10 wins and go into a wild card. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even if they lose Cooper Kupp, I think if they keep Stafford healthy and upright, that they will get at least 10 wins.
Yeah. Stafford's just one of those players that, like, man, I see him on the field. Like, this will be the year to disprove it. Like, this will be the year to show that, like, if he's truly on the decline, this is going to be the bad year again. If we get another bad year or if he gets injured again, then it's like, okay.
Okay, yeah. And
he's finally hit that point where, like, he's not Iron Man anymore, where he can just tank those hits anymore.
Exactly. So we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, I'm sorry, Arizona. We got to talk about you. We don't want to.
I don't want to. No.
Neither of us want to. But we got to talk about it.
So here we are.
The 17th ranked passing offense, according to yardage. The 22nd ranked rushing offense.
Is it possible that's somehow probably going to be a little better?
The 24th ranked passing defense.
I think that got worse, actually.
And the 14th ranked rushing defense.
I think that's actually going to be about the same. Yeah, probably about the same.
So, my notes. Rebuild commences now. Austinford has a lot of work to do. Murray remains the biggest question, and not just in terms if he'll even have a season this year. Also, you bought out your only super reliable pass catcher. This is not gonna be pretty. This is gonna be ugly. Ugly fugly all season. Sorry, Arizona, you're in for a long year. Those days of making the Super Bowl are long gone now. All right.
Remember that, man? They had like when they got Murray, everyone talked about like that Super Bowl window was like, oh man, they got a good window here, and like they had the 1 year that was actually a real window, and it just was gone after that. Like,
yeah, but they kept trying to find stuff, and they surrounded him with some decent wide receiving talent, and then they brought in some other defense. Their defense has always been a major issue, except for the year they went to the Super Bowl. They had Patrick Peterson there, and Honey Badger was there for a while, and they had some good defense for a while, and now it's gone to crap again. And like we said, we had one really good year with Murray, and now it's kind of gone to crap. So, we've got to worry about that now. Before we talk ceiling floor, I think we should do what we were doing earlier, and I think we need to talk about this. It's probable, I'm going to call it now, it's probable Arizona winds up with the first overall pick, and they've got Caleb, whatever his name is, from USC, that could potentially be there.
It's probable unless there's a different team that we expected to play good just plays terribly.
Yes.
Like a player doesn't work out or somebody gets injured or something.
The question is, do they do what Chicago did? Hold on to the quarterback they've got and bank that works and extract a crap ton from somebody who wants a quarterback?
No.
Or are they going to trade Murray?
They'll trade him, and they'll take on the USC, because the USC kid, from everything I've heard, has been like, everyone's like, yeah, Kyler Murray is great, but this kid from USC sounds like, gonna be the next legendary kid. They say that every time, of course, but like, he's gonna be the next legendary kid, right? And I think with the way that they have already dealt with the contract with Murray, and the fact that Murray's already kind of been a problem, and the fact that it's very clear that if Arizona's got the chance at the end of this year, they'll move him. They're going to move him. I don't think they want him. And to be fair, I don't think he wants to be there. Now, does that mean Murray actually has an attitude problem? I don't know. We don't know if it's a Cardinal issue or a Murray issue.
And that's what I was going to say, because we've heard lots of crap about the Cardinals
recently, yeah.
They make their players pay for food at the facilities, and it's garbage, apparently.
Yeah.
So we've heard a lot of bad things about the Cardinals organization itself. So could that have soured Murray on playing football?
At least with them, anyways.
For now. What if he went to a better organization with a team that actually gave a crap, and everybody that
actually treated him well? Yeah.
Yeah, treated him well. Would he suddenly want to be there more? Probably. So
now, is that a good mindset to have? No, because that means you're playing too much. You're putting too much emotion into your playing. But at the same time, I get it. He's a human.
Also, some players are just like that. They're emotional.
Some players are just more emotional. Exactly, they just are.
So
now you prefer not to have that at a QB. Sometimes you want somebody who's going to be more cold and calculating. I realize it sounds bad, but that's the truth of it. They want somebody who can kind of turn off that emotion at times and then use it when they need to.
I'm not going to say that you're wrong.
But at the same time, like, I still think from everything I've heard, the Cardinals will just jump the kid at USC. I kind of feel bad for him because he's going to be going to a shit organization that has to somehow basically save it. Like, he's got to be the QB to save the entire franchise, so to speak, right?
Now, I will say that the last time the Cardinals jumped at a quarterback from USC, it did not work out well for them.
It did not. It actually really went quite poorly.
And it ended up with them getting Kurt Warner, who worked out quite well for them. Matt Leinart was definitely not. No. No? So what's your ceiling and what's your floor for the Cardinals?
Ceiling is a generous 5 wins.
Oh, that's very generous.
Very generous. And that is generous only because if like Kyler comes back earlier than expected and he plays most of the season and he somehow manages to pull off some really good wins to make himself look good for the trade. That's it. Floor, 1 game only because I think the odds of it being 0 is really low, but if there's going to be a team that does it, it will be the fucking Cardinals.
So my ceiling is a generous 3 wins.
Wow, I was really generous then.
Yeah, generous 3 wins. And that's, again, if you get Murray back for the last 4 or 5 games, I think he can pull 3 wins out of this team. And as long as he looks good doing it, he generates value for your team. Now, if he doesn't play this season, my floor is 0. If there's going to be a team that's going to go winless and join the freaking Lions, and there was some other team that went winless as well, but
Browns.
they did it, which is the Browns, but they did it with 0-16 instead of 0-18.
They were in 0-16, exactly.
The only,
actually, their Lions were 0-17.
Yeah, 0-17. That's the best you could do. Well, worst you could do right now. So the Cardinals, if a team is going to join the Lions in 0-17 ignominy.
Actually, has anyone been 0? Was the Lions 0-17?
They were.
Or I thought they were 0-16.
Nope, they were 17. They were the first team to do it after the season expanded.
Really? The
Yes,
very first year? Were they the ones
first.
that really did it?
Yep.
Oh, that's embarrassing. That's true. Really?
That's the Lions. What do you expect? They were that bad for that long.
Do 0-16 Cleveland Browns. 2017-2008 was the Detroit Lions 0-16.
I swear somebody's done 0-17.
I'm looking back at the years. It does not look like it. So far, no team has gone 0-17. So the last ones was the Cleveland Browns at 0-16, and 2008 was the Detroit Lions at 0-16.
And then at 76, the Buccaneers at 0-14.
I know, 0-14. So yeah, it's the Cardinals could be the first
0-17 team.
17.
Good job, Cardinals. You can give yourself a trophy for that. I would.
Hey, at least you'll win supposedly the QB lottery of the next 10 years.
Well, what I would do is if you win 0-17, I would make a mock-up of the Super Bowl trophy, but I'd put the ball on the bottom.
Make it look really bad too. It's
Just
gotta be
make
made
it
out of
look
cardboard.
horrible, like some 4th grader made it.
It's gotta be made
And
out
just
of
write
cardboard.
worst team ever on it.
And then of course you have to hand that to
You
your
have to have
QB of the future.
You have to do the same thing Cleveland did. You have to have a parade.
Have to have a parade, and everyone has to wear brown paper bags.
All right. AFC West. This one is a little more interesting, in my opinion.
This one is legitimately more interesting. Though granted, there is still
one team that is the top of the pack, but the rest of it is very interesting, in my opinion. Because I don't really know how the rest of it shakes out after that. I have some ideas, but it's gonna be.
I got ideas too. Yeah.
So let's
It's
start.
tight. It's gonna be a tight contest, I think.
Yeah, let's start at the top. The Chiefs last year, first in passing offense. Is that a surprise?
Actually, for that year, yes, but we'll get to it.
20th in rushing offense.
That doesn't surprise.
19th in passing defense. 8th in rushing defense.
Yep.
No major changes. Still going to be a top passing offense with Mahomes. Defense just needs 1 or 2 stops a game, and Mahomes will boat race the other team out of the stadium.
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, this is the year that everyone went, oh, if the Chiefs are going to have a down year, it's going to be this year because they lost.
And they won the Super Bowl.
Their wide receiving room doesn't look as good, and their O-line lost some pieces, and their defense lost some pieces, and they still went to the fucking Super Bowl and shouldn't have won, but still won. shouldn't have won. Shouldn't have even been there, arguably, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways, still, I think that this team's going to be clearly the top contender.
Look,
Because the thing is, they only got better. Everyone thought this was the down year, and then they got really good with a lot of their signings, with a lot of their drafting. They got really good. It's kind of scary, actually.
And-
So,
and let's talk about that for just a minute, because reality dictates that the way that Mahomes is playing, in reality, all you need is a receiver that can get a couple of steps on his guy, and then he just has to hold his arms out and watch Mahomes drop a pass in there,
right in there, yeah.
like he's just handing it to him.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
He's basically handoff. He's playing handoff football, but with like 70 yards between you and the handoff.
Yeah, it's stupid. Their Super Bowl window is Mahomes' career.
Literally, as long as he doesn't get broken legs or some shit, like he's good to go for pretty much ever. Albeit like some freak accident or freak of nature.
Yeah.
Like,
So literally, their window is his career. And you need to just keep him surrounded with stuff, and you'll keep winning.
there are a couple of QBs that are just like that in the league actually right now. Like,
Yeah, him.
to be honest with you, like
Burrow.
you got Burrow. I would say Josh Allen's always a contender as long as you surround him, right? Like those three are the big ones. Rodgers is questionable, but
These
he's
days.
obviously shown that he can get close.
Lamar potentially, if he's
Lamar
stay
potentially,
healthy.
yep.
And
So-
maybe if they could find a good coach,
I was gonna say Justin Herbert. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, like
that's what I was gonna say. Now,
he looks like he could.
what is your ceiling and what is your floor for the Chiefs?
Honestly, this team could straight up not lose a game. They legitimately could. Now, I don't think that will be the odds, but I will still put them at a ceiling of like 15 games.
And your floor?
They're gonna win a lot of games. Like 12. Like
You're
and it's only
literally
like-
one more than me on each of them. My ceiling is 14 and my floor is 11.
like they're just so good though. It's hard to really push them too
I
far
know.
apart.
Now, I will say they did lose their offensive coordinator at Bieniemy.
They did, but
Is that really gonna matter?
It's Reed still coaching, so
Yeah, is that really going to matter? He's just going to train another offensive coordinator that everybody's going to want.
Because that's his offense. That's
Yep.
his offense. It wasn't the enemy's offense. He's not worried about it.
Yep, nope, he's not worried about it at all. All right. Down the list. Let's talk about LA. The other team in LA. The Chargers.
I love and hate this team. I
I
love
do-
and hate them.
I do too. So, last season, passing offense, 3rd. Rushing offense, 30th. Passing defense, 7th. Rushing defense, 28th. I mean, what do you
They're a
say?
pass-heavy team on both sides of the ball.
What do you even say to that? Now, they added what I believe to be the best receiver in the draft in Quentin Johnson to an already stacked wide receiver
That
room.
team's gonna be disgusting.
They added Eric Kendricks to their LB core to help against the run. They've
run,
added a
yep.
few other things. If they can keep those two linebackers with Bosa and Mac,
Mac. Yep.
both
Healthy.
healthy, and their secondary is pretty damned good. Look, let's be honest. If Brandon Staley can stay out of his own way, this team competes for a division title.
Oh yeah, hands down, no question.
So my ceiling is 12, and my floor is 9. And the other
So my
reason I'm
bit-
so down on that with them potentially being like that is because if there's going to be a coach that's going to find a way to fuck this up, it's Brandon Staley. How he
Yeah.
still has a job mystifies me. But I feel like they've given him enough weapons now and enough stuff that if he gets off to a shit start, they're going to get rid of him quick, fast, and in a fucking hurry.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that's what I love about this team is I love the players. They have. You look at this team on paper and you go, this team is stacked. This team within this year or next year is ready to go, 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 go. And then you look at their coach and you go, no, 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 no.
That's like putting a fucking that's like putting a fucking inline 4 in a fucking Camaro. What are you fucking doing?
I was gonna say you have the most. Well, in fact, actually, in some ways, you could argue that in fact they actually have like a really good engine because the engine's the team, right?
Yeah.
And they put it in the fucking Prius.
You put it in a station wagon. What the fuck are you doing?
Like it doesn't even fit. So that's my issues with this team, and I just there's injury issues with the team too, which is concerning. Obviously, with some of their wide receivers getting injured, Khalil Mack getting injured, Bosa starting to have injury issues. I mean, they had corners that were getting injured. They had a lot of injury issues last year, which is why they did have so many problems with the rushing defense in general. But man, they got so good. They upgraded a lot. I guess as long as Brandon Stanley can stop playing metrics football or whatever the fuck he wants to call it, statistical football. Staley. I said that.
You said Stanley again.
I said Staley.
You said Stanley again.
I definitely said Staley.
You definitely said Stanley. And when I go back and edit this, I'm going to put a big fucking bubble over your head that says Stanley.
I'm going to make it very clear that sometimes I click my tongue and it sometimes makes it sound like I'm saying Stanley, but I said Staley.
Okay.
I attempted to say Staley.
But you wanted to call him Stanley the whole goddamn time.
I have some cotton mouth, and I was saying Staley, and I know that's what I meant to say. And if I said it otherwise, I meant to say Staley because that's what I was thinking. Anyways, fuck that guy's last name. He shouldn't be the fucking coach, anyways. No, if he can stop playing whatever he calls that metric, statistical football BS, like. I get the premise behind it, and you're right, it can work because there are coaches who do it. You don't fucking do it right, because clearly every time you try it, it doesn't work. So stop. Like, get out of your way, help your team. This team could easily get a ceiling, in my opinion, of like 13 wins. Like, this is a team that actually could be really good as long as they stay healthy. This is also a team that has a floor of 8 wins, because just like last season, their coach can fuck it all up.
So we're pretty
the problem
much
is
in
the
the
team
same
is
boat
so
on
good
it.
that he can only take it down so far, you know?
Yeah. All right, moving
yeah.
along. The Las Vegas Raiders.
This one's got a lot of question marks for me.
Oh, again, yes. So
this one has more question marks than the Chargers. I like the Chargers. The Raiders, I just have a lot of...
last season, 11th ranked passing offense.
That's changed already.
17th ranked rushing offense.
That'll probably be similar.
29th ranked passing defense.
I think they've improved that, actually.
19th ranked rushing defense.
I think they've also improved that, actually.
So the offense is probably going to be better.
I'm saying even, to be honest. Overall.
And it's, you got rid of Waller, but you added Michael Mayer.
You got rid of Derek Carr.
And you brought in Jimmy G? Now, on the bonus side, as you said
not
earlier,
like the other.
as you said earlier, McDaniels does have a pass with Jimmy G. Jimmy G is actually very familiar with probably the playbook that...
I was going to say that's the big plus.
That is the plus on that.
In my book, that's the reason why they brought him in, because this was a year where they looked at what was available for the QB market and where they were in the draft and realized they're not getting the QB they want. So they just
Exactly.
need somebody who can come in who knows the playbook.
Exactly.
And that's what Jimmy G is.
So the defense has gotten a little better in my opinion.
Yeah, they drafted pretty good on that.
Whatever his name is, the dude from Texas A&M that they got is a monster who they are going to love, and he's going to rush. Now, the biggest question is, you've already got Max Crosby and Chandler Jones as defensive ends. Are you going to move Jones to a linebacker? Are you going to punch someone inside? How are you going to pull that off when you've already got two guys that are pretty good rushers? I mean, Jones is getting a little older, so if it were
probably
me...
just put him in rotation.
Yeah, if it were me, I would use the rookie, the pass rusher, as a pass rusher for obvious passing downs. You're going to come in, your whole job is to get to the quarterback. At least that first year. Let Jones play, anything that could be a rush down, anything like that.
Yeah. Specific plays or specific sets, stuff like that.
So I think we're going to see something like that.
Probably. And if he does it, and if he looks good early on, they'll probably put him in more stuff, kind of thing,
I'm not sure if they're a contender yet.
No, they're not. Not with the fact that Jimmy G, very clearly the signing of Jimmy G was not, hey, we're contending. It was, hey, we're prolonging the bleeding until we can find the quarterback we actually want.
So what's your ceiling and floor for this team?
Ceiling is probably if somehow Jimmy G stays healthy, 10 wins. Because they actually have a legitimately good team on paper, as long as Jimmy G plays like he should.
Mm-hmm.
But floor is if Jimmy G can't stay healthy, which is what you expect from him. They have who's their backup? I think.
Is it still Stidham?
No, they lost Stidham. They brought in somebody else.
I don't even know anymore.
I forgot who it was. It is somebody who's known, if I remember right.
I don't even think it matters.
Well, no, I think it does a little bit. Hoyer, they got Hoyer. Another QB that's known from that he worked with from the Patriot system.
Mm-hmm.
So, in my opinion, I don't think you're losing a whole lot. And from what I've seen of Hoyer, he can play enough. So your floor is probably going to be sitting around a 7-6, somewhere around there.
My feeling is a little different. My ceiling is still 10, right around there, which is about what you had them at, which is if things, if Jimmy G stays healthy and the playbook isn't too bad and everything else works and your defense is improved, you're looking at 10. But if for some reason everything goes sideways, or a lot of things could go sideways, or anything like that, your floor is about 5. I think this is either going to be boom or bust. I think they are a very boom or bust team. I don't know that there's a middle ground here that can be had, especially not in a division that has the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Chiefs as well.
Yeah, I mean, there is some of that to a degree. I think the reason why I have them winning a couple more is just simply due to the fact that, I see them kind of as a middle to high. I don't see them being that... I just don't see them busting that hard, personally. But I expect them to sit mostly in that middle groundish area. Realistically, I'm expecting them to be 7-8 wins, to be honest with you. That's really what I expect from them.
That very well, but in the middle of where I think the high and low is very well where they could be.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Broncos, last season, surprisingly, for as bad as we ripped on Russ, they had the 15th ranked passing offense.
Mostly in the last half, but yeah.
They had the 21st ranked rushing offense.
Oof.
13th ranked passing defense.
Yay.
And 10th ranked rushing defense.
Yay. So the one thing they were good at, which is, what we expected, defense.
And now it's important to note that Ejiro Everett, the guy who coordinated that defense, is gone.
Where'd he go?
Didn't you go to Carolina?
Yeah, he went to Carolina.
Yeah. All right. Their numbers actually would dictate that they're better than their win-loss record would indicate.
It would, but at the same time, if you look at how they had to win some of those games in the last half, that explains some of the numbers. And on top of that, their defense was the only thing that was putting in work in the first half of the season at all.
Now, they did add some new strength on both offense and defense.
Yes.
And you brought in a wizard in Sean Payton.
At least
Now,
you hope he's a wizard.
if Peyton can squeeze the last bit of football that Russ has in him, this team is going to make a lot of noise. If he can't, that noise is going to be a resounding thud as it hits the floor. Ceiling 11, floor 4. It's the widest one I have because if he gets a very good year out of Russ, or even an average year out of Russ, you could get 11 wins out of this team. They have enough talent. If you don't, this whole thing could come apart at the fucking seams.
So here's where I'm gonna where my mind's at. This was a team that everyone thought last year was going to be contending against the Chiefs. They had the good defense still. Everyone's like, they have the defense. They have some good wide receivers. They have all the talent. All we need is a quarterback. How do we solve that problem? Let's get Aaron Rodgers. Oh, wait. We can't get Aaron Rodgers. Let's get the next best thing. Russell Wilson. Oh, fuck. He's dead on arrival. What the Seahawks do to him? It's not what the Seahawks did to Russell Wilson. It's what the Russell Wilson did to the Russell Wilson. Which is, frankly, Russell Wilson got too big of an ego and decided that football was all about Russell Wilson. And I think that honestly happened probably at the end of the Seahawks year when everyone was talking about let Russ cook. I think that shit went to his head.
Now, I think that he may have had a deflated ego after this last season.
Good. He needed to get his ass kicked in.
I agree.
Now, I'm hoping that Sean Payton comes in as Gandalf the fucking White and goes, bitch, get your ass off the floor. Time to get your bitch ass done work. And turns him into the fucking king of Gondor. But I have a feeling that I don't expect that to happen. I don't expect Russ to have much of a resurgence, but I do expect that he will look better just because Sean Payton is a good coach. So my ceiling is probably sitting around 10 wins, only because maybe they can sneak in. And that's only because Sean Payton is so good and the rest of the team looks good. And Russ is not going to be asked to do much because that's kind of how Sean Payton tends to run his systems. Because if you look at Drew Brees, all he asked was for him to sit in the pocket and throw the fucking ball. Don't get fancy with it. Now, if he just tells Russell to do that, they can get.
I will say there is
wins.
A very good comparison between Russ and Drew in the fact that they're both shorter.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. If he can play him in that same way, they can get a 9-10 win season, and then all of a sudden now you go to postseason. Russell's statistically done well in the postseason, so then maybe you get, and along with Sean Payton, then you get magic. Then you get that postseason magic that can happen. Not saying it'll happen, but it can. However, I have so little faith in Russ that we could also equally have a 4 wins as a floor. I did have a big swing. My swing wasn't quite as big as yours, but it was very close.
Very, very close because I had 11-4. You had 10-4. I have a 7-game swing. You have a 6-game swing. So there's not that much difference. We both think the same.
I want to give it higher, but honestly, I want to give it higher only because Sean Payton can be a wizard, but their backup QB is who? Exactly. Now, out of curiosity, I will look it up, but I think if something happens to Russ, or if Russ ends up looking like shit, who are they going to turn to, right? So let me see here.
Trevor Siemian.
Is it really still Trevor Siemian?
I don't think so. That's my joke.
Oh, that would be terrible.
If it is, I'm going to laugh.
It's Stidham, dude. It's Stidham.
Well, all right.
Oh, my gosh. That's not terrible.
Stidham had a good game. One good game last year. Or two? Definitely one.
He had 2 that were... One that was good and one that was okay.
Yeah. So there's some potential there.
Yeah, he's not a bad backup, but again, I just... If something happens to Russ and you're looking for, trying to offload and go, Russ is not the guy, we need to bench him. Stidham, you're the starter now.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to wind up with a Tony Romo situation, or even I dare I say, Tom Brady.
No, but
or Kurt Warner even.
Or Kurt Warner. Now, to be fair, if Stidham was going to look like he was going to be really good, it would
It
be
would be in
surrounded with this
Peyton's
kind of
system.
team.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be around this team. So in some ways, it'd be almost kind of funny to see Russell play like crap just to see if Stidham actually could be a good QB. But outside of that,
I agree. I agree fully, wholeheartedly. I can't say anything else about that. So yeah, you and I are kind of in agreement. Like,
we're in the same
there's
position.
some weirdness to this
This
division.
is a big swing team here.
Because there's so many question marks. There's at least one team that could be fantastic if their coach was any
To get out of the way.
good. there's another team that maybe they'll be okay, but maybe they won't. There's another team that, you know what? If he can rediscover himself, this is a team that can go on a run. And then there's another team that's like, yeah, we're still here. We are going to still stomp everybody.
Don't forget, we still exist.
Don't forget, we're still here.
We're still here.
It's still us.
We're not going to let you forget we still be here.
Yeah. So, it's going to be a very interesting season out in the West for both of those divisions. Clearly, I think that the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West.
Oh, no questions.
No questions here. And I think the 49ers are absolutely going to stomp in the NFC West. And then after that, it's all giant question marks.
I in my books, I have definitely, you got the Chiefs sitting at number 1. Number 2, I have probably sitting Chargers with probably the Raiders close behind, in my opinion. And I had the Broncos sitting dead last, only because I just have no faith in Russ.
Yeah.
If I had more faith, I might swap Raiders with the
it's gonna be weird.
Broncos,
I think it's gonna be
weird.
weird. I think the Chargers have a very good shot this year. I just think Staley needs to not be a doofus.
Yeah. And as far as the NFC side is concerned, it's very clear, in my opinion. You got 49ers, then you got Seahawks, pretty clear right there second, because could potentially even overtake the 49ers, depending on, based on how they played last season.
Could.
But they could, based on last season. If they are that improved, it could happen. So you got 49ers, then you got the Seahawks, then it's very clearly the Rams and Cardinals. Like, the Rams could play really well and somehow jump the Seahawks if the Seahawks somehow play really bad, but the odds dictate we're talking 49ers, Seahawks, Rams, Cardinals, in my opinion. That's as it is right now, that's how it looks to me.
Yep, I would agree. Next week, we're going to talk East Coast. We're going to head out east. We're going to talk NFC and AFC East, which means I get to rant about how the Cowboys should not be in the fucking NFC East.
To be fair, they don't.
Huh?
They don't deserve to be there.
Well, no, not deserve. They shouldn't be because they're not a fucking Eastern team.
That's what I'm saying, but they don't deserve to be there either.
They're not an Eastern fucking team. They deserve to be in the fucking NFC South. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they should be somewhere else.
Like, you could put Tampa Bay in for fucking the NFC East, because while
they
it's
don't belong there,
While it's South, they're also out on the fucking East Coast. Or the Panthers. The Panthers, they're East.
East-ish.
Fucking fucks. All right. So, I don't have anything else.
Listen, the way they draw their lines make no sense. I'm not going to question it.
I am going to question it, but I'm also not going to defend it.
True.
I do want to shout out to one of our newest viewers, Paul. Hi, Paul. Good to see you. Hope that you have a chance to see us. I believe his thing to me, he said, wow, you two look really alike. And I was like, gee, it's almost like we're brothers.
It's almost like the name of the channel is... Anyways.
You gotta understand, I love my brother Paul. Paul is amazing. If you ever met him, you'd understand. So hi to you, Paul. It's good to see you again. Anyway, for everybody else, go ahead and if you like what we do, give us a subscribe. Hit the bell notification so that you can know whenever I upload content. I will eventually start doing trade dissections again. I don't know fucking when that's going to happen. But I have one that I'm working on. I just don't know when it's going to happen. Also, give us a like. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Fuck you, do it. Do it. I dare you, bitch. Do it.
If you don't, I will hide under your bed and I will eat your toes.
And I will hide above your bed and piss into your eyeballs.
I don't know which one's worse, to be honest with you. They're both pretty bad.
In the meantime...
Also, I don't want to know why you're climbing up on my ceiling. What are you, Spider-Man? Spider-Man! Spider-Man!
Spider
Pissing in
Pig.
your mouth.
Spider Pig. Spider Pig.
No.
No.
Spider Pig.
Don't!
Go!
In the meantime, we're going to tell everybody we hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. We hope that you accomplish everything that you want to accomplish. We are going to ask you to stay bearded, stay awesome, and you know what?